Observe and discuss. What is the similarity in the three pictures given below? Air pollution. All the above pictures show large scale emission of smoke through different agencies. This smoke directly mixes with the atmosphere, disturbing the balance between the constituents of air. This is called air pollution. Harmful gases are given out through combustion of fuels in vehicles and in big industries, and also through incomplete combustion of fuels like wood and coal. As a result, air pollution is increasing day by day. Ozone layer, the protective shell. There is a layer of ozone O3 gas in the lower part of the stratosphere. Ozone gas is not directly useful for the survival of living things, yet it is very important for living things to have this layer of ozone at a high altitude around the earth. The ultra rays coming from the sun are very harmful for living things. The ozone gas absorbs these rays. As a result, life on earth is protected. The ozone layer is destroyed if chemical gases like carbon tetrachloride or the chlorofluorocarbons used in air conditioners and refrigerators mix with the air. The 16th of September is celebrated as Ozone Protection Day all over the world to make everyone aware of the importance of ozone. Harmful substances released in air through combustion of fuels: nitrogen dioxide, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, soot. Do you know, in metropolitan cities like Mumbai, Pune, or Nagpur, boards are displayed at places of heavy traffic to show the proportions of the various constituents of the air at the place. Due to these boards, we can see the amount of harmful elements in the air. Use your brain power. What would have happened if there were no air on the earth? Water. Try this. Observe how much water is used and for what purpose it is used in your house for a whole day. Record it in a chart like the one shown here. Discuss the data in the class. Divide the total amount of water used in your home by the number of persons. Do you find out how much water each person needs? You will see that it is almost impossible for us to spend even a single day without water. We need to drink 3 to 4 liters of water every day so that all our bodily function runs smoothly. Other living things also require water, although the amount of water they need may vary according to the size of their body. Thus, we see that water is very important. If hydrogen gas burns in air, it combines with oxygen and water is formed. We have learned about some characteristics of water in the previous standards. In nature, water occurs in three states. Water does not have color, taste, or odor. Many substances readily dissolve in water. Therefore, water is a universal solvent. The blood of animals and the sap in plants contain a very high proportion of water. No living thing can survive without water. Therefore, it is said that water is life. We cannot use all the water on earth because seawater is salty. Some water is in the frozen state. A very small quantity of water is available for drinking, yet it is enough for all living things. Find out in what ways is the water in seas and oceans useful even though it is salty. Observe and discuss. For which purpose is water being used? Do other living things use water like we do? We use water in large quantities. We have learned that water on the earth is regulated through the water cycle. The water vapor formed from oceans is the main source of water in the water cycle. It gets converted into rain, creating fresh water sources on Earth. We get water from natural sources such as streams, rivers, ponds, springs, and lakes. Man also digs wells and bore wells to lift groundwater. Apart from this, man has also constructed bunds and dams of various sizes on rivers. Due to the uncontrolled use of water for an increasing population, industries, and farming, it is now in short supply. Water scarcity has become a serious problem. Always remember, use water sparingly, block water, let it percolate, store water wherever possible, reuse water wherever possible. Remember, stored water does not become stale at once. Can you tell what is land made of? Second, what do you see on land? Third, what has man created on land? Fourth, if a deep pit is dug in the ground, what do you find there? Fifth, is land flat everywhere? Sixth, does man produce soil and land? Land. Land is seen in the form of stones, soil, big rocks. It is not flat everywhere. It is hilly in some places and flat in others. All terrestrial animals, including man, live on land. Some terrestrial dig burrows in the ground for shelter. This means that they use land for fulfilling their need. We also use land for farming and for building houses and roads. We make use of plants and animals in the forest that grow on land. The minerals, crude oil, and natural gases obtained from the earth are very important for us. It means that land is an important resource. Let us see exactly what land is made of. Let's try this. Take a transparent plastic bottle, a handful of soil, some stones, sand, some dry leaves, and water. Cut off the upper tapering part of the bottle. Put the rest of materials in the lower part and add water. Stir the mixture thoroughly and put it aside. Observe it the next day and answer. How does the mixture in the bottle look now? Do you see layers in it? What is seen in different layers from top to bottom? The land on earth also look like this. If a pipeline is being laid in your neighborhood, observe carefully the pits dug from this purpose. You will see some layers under the land surface as shown in the accompanying figure. If the land has mature soil, the topmost layer is formed by decomposition of remains of plants and animals. This layer is called humus. It is usually found in dense forest. The land below this is full of sand, soil, small stones, worms, and insects. Soil and pieces of bedrock are found below this layer on land. This soil is immature. Further, below this layer, the proportion of soil decreases and that of rock increases. This is the layer of bedrock. The main mineral in soil are derived from these rock. That is why soil in different regions is different. The color and texture of soil are both determined by the bedrock. The process of soil formation. The soil on the land is formed by a natural process. The abiotic components of soil are supplied through the weathering of the bedrock due to the heat, cold, and water of the sun, wind, and rain, respectively. The bedrock breaks down into pieces. Stones, sand, and soils are formed from these pieces. Microbes, worms, and insects are found among these. Rodents like mice and rats are also found here. The roots of trees growing on the land also help weathering of rocks. The process of soil formation is slow and continuous. It takes about a thousandth of year for a 2.5 centimeter thick layer of mature soil to form. Soil can be destroyed in a short period due to flood, storms, and human activities such as mining. That is why it is necessary to conserve soil and to prevent erosion of land. The best remedy for this is to increase the green cover of the land. Erosion of land reduced it, grass, trees, and bushes are gone in it. Try this. Obtain specimens of soil from various places in your surrounding, such as your own yard, a garden, hills, river banks, fields, and rocky ground. Note the differences in the specimens with respect to color, feel, texture, and size of the particles. Do you know humus is the layer formed on the soil due to decomposition of dead plants and animals by microbes? Humus supplies nutrients to the soil. Humus is also important for aerating the soil and for holding water in the soil. The proportion of humus in the upper layer of good fertile soil is about 33% to 50%. Use your brain. What are the constituents of soil? Classify them as biotic and abiotic constituents. Forests on land got buried underground due to the great upheavals that took places on the earth many ages ago. After that, the process of formation of fossil fuels from the remains of living things took place underground. We get fuels like petrol, diesel, kerosene, paraffin, and other useful materials like tar and wax from the fossil fuel called crude oil. Living things are land and air available on earth, and so does man. However, the proportion of these resources that are actually put to use are very small as compared to the whole earth. Look at the following table. Land 29%, potable water, fresh water 0.3%, oxygen 21%. Even in these small proportions, the resources shown in the above table are sufficient for all living things. Only it is a very necessary for man to control his greed. In other words, he must use the resources judiciously, with the awareness that they are meant for all other living things, are not just for mankind. Institutes at work. India Meteorological Department was established in 1875 for studying the weather in the India subcontinent. The main function of the institute is to observe the forecast. This institute also conducts research related to changes in weather, makes forecasts about rains, and studies the development related to global warming. What we have learned: the elements available in natural which fulfill the basic needs of living things are called natural resources. Air, water, and land are important natural resources. Soil has both biotic and abiotic constituents. There are many constituents of air such as nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, inert gases, water vapor, and dust particle. The ozone layer is a protective shell of earth. Natural resources should be used carefully and sparingly.